Alright, so for this chapter I wanted to make sure that we build something simple, kind of an introductory lesson. And basically what we're going to do is build a 5-question, very simple JavaScript quiz. Alright, so basically we have a form with 5 different radio fields. Alright, and we're doing some validation. You can see if we just try to submit, it's going to tell us that we missed question 1. Alright, and if we make sure we fill that in, it'll tell us we missed question 2. Alright, so you have to fill in all the radio buttons or you can't submit it. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. How would you write hello in an alert box? JavaScript directly related to Java? Nope. And a variable in JavaScript must start with a special character. No, special character. Okay, so then we submit, and we're going to get a little alert that says our score. So we scored 5 out of 5. And also we're going to print it out here at the top as well. Alright, so really simple. We're going to start with the HTML. So let's go ahead and create our file structure. Alright, and I'm just going to call this simple quiz. Okay, so of course we need our HTML file. And we want CSS folder and also a JavaScript folder. Now there's not going to be that much code here, that much JavaScript, so you could put it in line in your index page, but I like to keep them separate, even if it's just a little bit of code, just to have that structure. Alright, so let's create our CSS. I'm going to call this style.css. And then we'll create our main JavaScript page, which I'm going to call script.js. Alright, so let's go ahead and open these 3 files. I'm using Notepad++. Of course, you can use whatever you'd like. Alright, so let's start out with the basic HTML5 structure. Alright, so we're going to have a doc type. We need our HTML tags, okay, and our head tags, body, and we'll just give this a title. We'll say simple JavaScript quiz. Alright. And the next thing we want to do is link our style sheet and JavaScript file. So to link a style sheet, we're going to say link rel, and it's going to be a style sheet, and then we want our href css style.css. Okay, and then our JavaScript file, which we need script tags with a source attribute, and that's going to go to js/script.js. Okay. So let's take a look at the actual project. So I want everything to be within this blue background. Alright, so this is going to be our container. Alright, so let's set up a div with the ID of container. Alright, so next we have our header, which has an h1 tag and a paragraph tag. Alright, so let's use the HTML5 header tag. Okay, and then inside of that we'll do an h1. Simple JavaScript quiz. And then we'll have a paragraph. And we'll just say test your knowledge in JavaScript fundamentals. And I'm just going to wrap JavaScript fundamentals inside of a strong tag. And I just want to say that I realize this is a JavaScript jQuery series, and I could have just pasted all the HTML in, but when I do a project like this, I like to do it from start to end so that you can see all of the different components that go into it. Okay, so the HTML, the CSS, and of course the JavaScript. But if you don't want to type out all the HTML, just to get it from the project files and start from where we start the JavaScript chapters. Alright, so I just wanted to say that. Under the header, we're going to have a section. Alright, and I'm going to create an empty div with the ID of results, because this is going to be the div where our results are shown, our score is shown when we complete the quiz, and we're going to generate that with JavaScript. So we're not going to actually put anything in here. Alright, and then we can have our form. Alright, the form, I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call it quiz form. Alright, and we're going to add what's called an event handler here, and it's going to be for the onSubmit event. So when this form is submitted, we want to return a certain function that we're going to create called submit answers. Alright, so what we're doing is basically we're going to disable the default form submission, and we're going to catch it inside of this function. Alright, so now we have to do the questions. So the actual questions are going to be put inside of an H3 tag. Alright, so say question 1, say in which HTML element do we put in JavaScript code. Okay, so that's the question. Now what we want is our radio buttons, so we want to use an input tag, and type attribute is going to be set to radio, and we want a name. Okay, so the name is how we're going to grab these answers in the JavaScript file. Alright, so this one will have a name of Q1 for question 1, and the actual value of this input is going to be A. Alright, and then we're also going to have an ID, which is going to be Q1A. Alright, and then we want to just put the text here, so A, and now I can't just put in for instance script, even though we want this to be our answer right here, but if we do this, it's just the browser is just going to see this as a script tag. Alright, so we have to use special characters for these greater than and less than. Alright, so for the less than, it's going to be the ampersand, and then LT, and then a semicolon. Alright, so that's the less than. Greater than will be the ampersand GT, semicolon. Alright, so after that we want to just put in a line break here. Alright, we can put our other answers in. I'm just going to copy this. Alright, so we have Q1, Q2, 3, and 4. Over here we want 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the value will be A, B, C, and D, and then we just want to change the text here as well, so B, C, and D. Alright, and then for the answers here, let's just change these up. We'll put in a JS tag, which there isn't any such thing as that as a JS tag, but just have it as an option. Okay, body, and we'll say link. Alright, so that's how our question and options are going to be formatted. What I'm going to do now is just paste in the rest of the questions because they have this exact same formatting. So there's not really any point of me typing them all out. Okay, so I'll just paste those in. Okay, so we have 5 questions. So after the last question, we need a button. But first I'm just going to add a couple line breaks here. Alright, and then for a button, we're going to use input type submit. Alright, and we're going to give it a value of submit answers. Alright, and that should be good. Let's just throw a footer in here. So under section, we'll say footer, just to make it look like it's a real website. And then inside of there, we'll just have a paragraph with a copyright. So copyright. If you want the copyright symbol, you need to use this ampersand copy semicolon. Alright, and let's just say all rights reserved. Obviously this is a fictional website. Alright, so let's take a look at the HTML. It's not going to look very pretty yet. Okay, so just have our default styling. Alright, so that's the HTML. In the next video, we will do the CSS to make it look presentable.